You're listening to the Digital Data Café podcast, where we talk about everything data-driven in your world. Join us each week to hear from the world's top business and industry leaders on why using data in a digital world matters. Here's your host, Albert Thompson.
Good morning. Thank you. Another episode here of Digital Data Café. Very excited to have our guest here today, Don Brady. He's a LinkedIn superstar. If you haven't seen him, he's all over the place. He's ruffling up the industry, putting himself out there. I think he was just on a recent national TV show, if I'm not mistaken. Don Brady, CEO and founder of Don Brady Consulting and VP of Ship Your Dealer Success, right? For Ship Your Car Now. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Welcome to the show, Don.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh man, it's exciting to have you here. Boy, you're doing some amazing things on LinkedIn.
Well, thank you. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm just being me on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So,
Well, I gotta tell you, man, I think you are having a lot of fun. There's no doubt about it. How'd you come up with the character, by the way? Just out of curiosity.
actually, I have a good friend of mine named Rob Angus on LinkedIn, and in the beginning when I first started doing this, I kind of called him my and I don't mean to call him an elf, but when they used to talk about the shoemaker he'd go to bed and wake up and all the shoes were taken care of.
Yep.
It was weird because I used to wake up in the morning on LinkedIn and there'd be a message in my box, and Rob was playing around and turned me into a cartoon character. He's a great person, and I tried to pay him, and he says, Don, you don't owe me anything. I enjoy doing this, and I enjoy seeing the audience reaction to it. So that's my shout out to Rob Angus. Great guy.
Well, Rob's turned you into an icon, that's for sure. It's funny to watch that. It's basically your brand at this point. It's you've done some big things with it, and it's
well, I believe that your brand is you, and in that case, I mean, I'm being me on social media, and that my brand is me. I mean, I had people tell me, oh, you should never name your company Don Brady Consulting Inc., because what happens if you do something bad, it comes back on you and your name. And I said, I don't plan on doing anything bad. I'm not saying that I don't make mistakes, and I will make mistakes, but at the end of the day, I own up to those mistakes. I mean, what people see is what they get.
Well, listen, it's one of the things that I live by, right? Your integrity is the only thing that precedes you and supersedes you. So, if you have that confidence like I do, then you know that, hey, you live by your name, right, Don?
That's right. Absolutely.
So why don't you tell the listeners today a little bit about yourself? I think it's important. I always start off by saying, hey, what's your story? I mean, how did you get here today? How did Don Brady become VP of Dealer Success for Ship Your Car Now? And what's your background?
Well, it's somewhat of a long story, but I was a Army brat growing up. So my dad served in the Army, and then I traveled with him across the country and out of the country in Panama and different places. I ended up joining the Army myself pretty quick out of high school, and I spent 10 years. I'm a U.S. Army combat veteran. I spent 10 years active Army.
Thanks for
and
serving.
I decided to ETS, and I came back to my hometown of Ohio in the mid to late 90s, and was looking at a police department in Canton, Ohio, home of the Football Hall of Fame, for anyone out there that wonders where Canton, Ohio is. And I was on their list, and I needed to have a job while I was waiting for that position on the law enforcement. I ended up looking at the newspaper, and I saw where a dealership in my town of Alliance, Ohio, was looking for a salesperson. And ultimately, I took a job as a salesperson that ended up becoming a 22-year career, from salesperson to finance to new car manager, used car manager, general sales manager, and ultimately general manager. My last 6+ years in the industry on the retail side was as a general manager. But I decided in January of 2020 to take a leap of my lifetime, and I walked away from one of the highest paying positions in the auto industry for me, with no job, no plan. I flew out to Las Vegas, Nevada in February of 2020 to NADA with really no plan, but other than I was going to find a job. And I left that NADA with about 43 job offers, and one of them was Ship Your Car Now. But ultimately, I decided to form my own company and basically build a briefcase of no-brainers to talk to general managers across the country about. And ultimately, Ship Your Car Now, being their VP of Dealer Success. And my favorite part of that title was Dealer Success, is I'm out there really trying to help car dealers, and I'm doing it literally all over the United States with transportation, and I love it.
I mean, that's incredible. And for those that are listening, you and I have a little bit of a connection, right? Northeast Ohio. Most people don't know my background and my story, but I figure we should at least make some comment on it, right? So you're from Alliance. I'm from a little town, little even smaller than Alliance, about 20 miles south of that, about 1,200 people, called Minerva. So you and I were in the same place, same time. While you were at that store, I was literally standing up my career, shooting pictures for the local dealers there, like Loudon Motorsports, which you're familiar with, you know. So it's very, very,
it's very, very neat. It's weird because I've talked to you about it, that, you know, normally when people ask me where I'm from across the country, I usually say Youngstown or Cleveland,
right?
Because they look at you weird when you say Homeworth or Alliance. But with you, I mean, you're like, oh no, I'm Minerva and East Rochester. I mean, so yeah, we ran with a lot of the same people, which is kind of neat.
And it's amazing. And so, you know, it's funny, man, full circle, you know, 25 plus years now later, here we are doing an automotive podcast, and you're owning it. And you know, I love your story though. You know, it's awesome to hear that, you know, look, in spite of the uncertainty of the future, right? You said, I'm going to, you know, turn away from all of this high paying, you know, income. I've got the automotive background. I'm going to go to NADA here in Vegas, and I'm going to carve my path. And here you are, you've carved it. So, and part of that, and I love your you know, statement there with dealer success, because that's our true North Star, right? We have to always focus on, you know, making our dealers successful. And you've done that with Ship Your Car Now.
Yes. Loving every second of it too.
So tell us, what is Ship Your Car Now?
Well, the funny thing is, people think that Ship Your Car Now is a transportation company that competes with all the other transportation companies. The reality is we are a technology company that at the end of the day just happens to transport vehicles. So, and I really believe with all my heart that there is not another company on the planet that can compete with Ship Your Car Now and Don Brady. So, and I don't say that to be cocky. I say that because when it comes to a car dealership, I know what every single person in that dealership goes through on a day-to-day basis. Because at the end of the day, I'm a car guy that happens to know a lot now. And in the last 2 years, I've learned a lot about transportation. So they get the strength of what I've had in the past in the car business and the strength of what I know in the transportation business. I tease people and say I'm the Tom Brady of the automotive and transportation industries, and that's what they get when they get with me. Is that's who I am, and that's who I'm there for them.
You're the automotive goat.
Yes.
There you go. Right. Yeah.
Well, they call it greatest of auto transport.
Oh, I like that. You're the greatest of auto. Okay. But you know what? It's funny that you brought up the technology piece, right? Because I think that's important for the listeners to know and understand the difference. I myself, you know, initially thought Ship Your Car Now was a transport company as well. So why don't you dig in a little bit and, you know, for those that really, you know, want to know the difference. So is there transportation with Ship Your Car Now? It's just, or is it all technology and it's leaning on resources? How does that all work?
So there's still a lot of our competition out there that they use and you'll still have dealers, you'll talk to them and they'll say, well, what's your price per mile? See, that's where our biggest difference is. We don't use the old outdated price per mile. We have a tool that actually uses artificial intelligence algorithms that lets our dealers know exactly how much it takes to get a vehicle picked up in real time, because it's all through artificial intelligence, and we guarantee the pickup. So they can choose pick up within 2 business days, pick up within 7 business days, or they can pick standby, open or enclosed transport, and they can actually get a real-time quote on that. And that technology we provide to car dealers at no cost to them. So it's twofold. We have a tool where they can get quotes for like anywhere from 1 vehicle to a truckload or more. Or we can do a customer facing button on their website on every vehicle So customers then can have a Amazon-like experience while they're shopping on their website. So dealers that still don't believe that their website isn't their showroom. You can call it a virtual showroom, but it's truly their showroom, more so than the people walking through those front doors. They the ones that get that understand that this button is so important to put on their cars, because we're finding nationwide that a customer is more likely to push that button and give their email address to get a shipping quote. So the customer or the dealerships then get a free lead, but they're more apt to do that than they are to click the button that says have a salesperson call me, because customers out there still are a little, I don't know if I want anyone to call me yet, I'm just shopping, but they're willing to do that, and the customers or the dealerships get a real true lead for free just because they happen to get a shipping quote. So it's kind of a twofold.
There's a lot to unpack here. This is
Yes.
there's a lot to unpack here, but there's a lot of amazing opportunity. And if you think about like the psychography of the customer journey, I mean, let's think about this for a second, right? If I'm a customer, and we all know now, right? Studies, surveys, everything shows that the buying journey is being mostly conducted online, right? The research.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I think, to your point, it makes absolute perfect sense. If I get and I land on a vehicle details page of VDP,
Right.
and I see this shipping estimate, right? That's part of my research phase. I'm still in research mode, right?
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to be more likely to
customers
click
are all
that.
over.
Yeah.
Customers are all over the country, and they for a lot of dealers, they've been all over the country for a very long time. Like you mentioned to me that you were doing eBay, selling cars on eBay in the late 90s.
Yep.
And from Ohio, a customer bought from California. That's always been going on, but the pandemic, some of the dealers that were on the fence, the pandemic kind of pushed them over that fence. And so even the ones that don't want to be are reluctantly sometimes looking at digital retailing. And that's a fancy word for online sales. And it's a fancy word for customers that are looking for their best deal or the most unique vehicle from anywhere. And I'm able to help car dealers get that dream to driveway from anywhere to anywhere in the country. So
dream the driveway. Well, here's the thing is, right? So digital retailing, exactly. This has been going on since the late 90s.
Right.
My story does begin in that stage when, Polaroid camera, flatbed scanner. And to your point, I sold, cars from Little Alliance, Ohio, a Hummer H1 to a guy all the way in San Diego, flew in, bought $11,000 worth of accessories. And here we are 24 years later, right?
Yep.
And we're still doing online transactions. And to your point, the pandemic absolutely accelerated that digital retail timeline, right? From the OEM perspective all the way to the retailer, positioning of it. Essentially, digital retailing is now a component of most of the retailers' websites.
Yes.
So before we get into that, the CarMax and stuff of all of this, or the Carvana stuff of all this, right? If you're going to do digital retailing, you can't not, in my opinion, have a shipping estimate built in.
Right. And of course, we offer the API integration, the iframe, all those words that I don't necessarily know what they mean. I have a great team behind me that does that. But I still have dealers that are, they're out there, and I don't want to use the word whine or complain, but there's some frustration about the Carvanas and the Vrooms of the world. And I tell dealers all the time that they're actually a very small piece of our huge automotive industry. What I recommend to car dealers, and I use the tagline, I will help them become or compete with the Carvanas and the Vrooms of the world. But the reality is, the car dealers that really have a true understanding of what's going on, I just say, do what you do best. You're better than Carvana, you're better than Vroom, but why not expound on that and help the customers that are out there that do want to purchase that way, help them, and then still be strong enough to help the dealers, the customers that walk in the door, or the ones that call in or email in. Do it all and get all those customers and take care of all those customers. And I give them that ability at no cost with this API integration and instant shipping quotes. I don't know if you've ever had to get a shipping quote back in the day, and I hate to say that, but I did it as a salesperson, where we would call the 1-800 number and you'd be on hold for a half an hour, and then they would, you give you the quote, and then you call back a week later and they'd say, oh no, that quote's now this. And literally, a dealer with me can get an instant quote in seconds with a push of a button know exactly, and those prices are guaranteed. I guarantee I'll pick it up within 2 business days. That price is guaranteed, and they can come back a week later, and that's the price. It's there. It's in stone for them. So I love the fact that I love the car business, and I love being a car guy, and I love what I'm doing now. And I've merged those two together, and I'm truly helping dealers all over the country, and I love it.
Yeah, Don, I think it's great, right? I know that, the pandemic hyper accelerated us into this online transactional journey for consumers. You've got the Vrooms of the world, the Carvanas of the world. And there's going to be a segment of the audience that's going to want to buy that way, right? So
Right.
as a dealer, being able to position yourself in a way to be able to offer that makes sense for those that want to buy that way. And for those that don't, you're still going to be that local option for them to have the showroom come in and
Absolutely.
buy. That's right. And to your point, the ability to then have that set in stone, and then during the research phase, capture that unique opportunity, it opens it up as a lead, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
So how are those leads? Just out of curiosity, I'm sure there's people out there thinking about it, but how do the leads convert? Are they doing well? I mean, do you see the conversion rates going well?
Yeah, they do. And again, I've still talked to some dealers out there, and I never name them, but that will tell me that the internet is a fad. It's going to go away.
Right.
Online retailing is a fad. It's going to go away. Carvana is going to go out of business. Vroom's going to go out of business. I think Carvana purchasing Odessa shocked the world a little bit, because that's a pretty abrupt opposite of going out of business to make a $2.2 billion purchase of Odessa. Right. But none of that really matters to me. Like what's neat about what I do, and even if they don't want to do the customer facing part, I have dealers that are purchasing vehicles from auctions, and I say unique, like they'll buy Malibu, but it might have 6,000 miles on it, and they ship it in and they put it on their lot. So inventory is another buzzword that is out there, and I'm helping car dealers buy inventory, buy onesies, twosies, 2 truckloads from anywhere, and getting it to their lot fast, and they're able to then turn around and retail, because inventory is important too. It's an important part of it. But to answer your question about the leads, yes, it's being proven more and more that there are customers that are searching from everywhere. And I'm helping those dealers get that vehicle picked up after all the paperwork's done, and I'm dropping it off at that customer's driveway, or at their work, or at the mall near them, or wherever they want it, and making a lot of customers happy. I mean, I'm very blessed to be able to say that in the 2+ years I've been doing this, I've not really had any customers that were unhappy. I mean, if you can say that, like if I had a CSI or an SSI, like I think my SSI scores would be real close to 100%, in the 99 plus category.
Well, you could tell, your confidence exudes, and, at the end of the day, right, as long as we keep that North Star, which is our customers, and whether that be clients, consumers or dealers, that's the reason why we're all in the business. That's the way I'm, people like yourself, myself, that's why we're in the business. But you did mention one thing, and I think it's important, inventory being a buzzword right now. So we understand, right, the ship your car now, the free, the ability to have a no cost button added to the site. Yep. I've got the client journey down pat. Now tell me, I'm a dealer. Listen, I'm good. I like using Central Dispatch. I've got a platform. Why would I use Ship Your Car Now? How are you going to help me there?
Well, what I would say, and I can't say what I would say, because I say it every day, because Central Dispatch is a good tool, and there's a lot of good tools out there. Super Dispatch, Central Dispatch. I think where Ship Your Car Now shines, I already mentioned the technology part. I think we're light years ahead of everybody on the technology side. On the flip side, a dealer can get a Central Dispatch account. They can, I call it the post and hope board. They can throw the vehicle on the board. They can keep adding money, keep adding money, keep adding money. I have been shocked in the 2+ years I've been doing this, that there are still carriers out there on those boards that are underinsured, or some even scarier, that are not insured at all. Wow. And so we actually, what's neat about, and of course, if you ask any broker out there, they'll tell you they've got 20,000 plus vetted carriers. I too say that, right? And if you go on Central Dispatch, you'll probably see that there's 20,000+ carriers. And a lot of people use the word vetted, and vetted is a pretty important word, and especially with this, because in a lot of cases, we're not moving junk. In some cases, we're moving $1 million vehicles, open and enclosed. Our carrier base, again, we've got 20,000 plus, just like everybody else, but we've got about 500 or more that are truly vetted. Like our name is on their insurance policy. So if the God forbid happens, we're not even talking to the carrier, we're talking to the insurance companies. We carry backup insurance. I've got the strongest customer service team in the industry, that we actually, and we don't just post and hope. We make phone calls to our carrier base. We make things happen. And I wouldn't be able to say we guarantee pickup within 2 business days if we didn't make things happen. And we do. And at the end of the day, I mentioned it earlier, I'm just a car guy in transportation clothing. So that's what they get. You don't get that from Central Dispatch. You don't get a car guy that's been a salesperson, that's been a general manager, that understands what you go through. I say dealerships should do what they do best, and that's sell and service vehicles, and leave the transportation piece of it to the experts, which is me and my team at Ship Your Car Now.
Yeah. I mean, a big part of it is Don, is you're exactly right. I mean, a lot of times when you're supporting your clients, they're getting you. I mean, and there's no doubt about it. That's a successful part of your business. So with that said, I think this has, been very informative. But if I'm a listener, I'm a dealer, I want to do business with you. Hey man, I'm ready to go. I'm doing digital retailing. I'm moving metal, but you know what? I want to put this, shipping estimate on my website, or I want to get a 2-day guaranteed set in stone for my customers. Yeah. What do I do? How do I get a hold of you?
Well, for the ones that haven't seen me on social media, you can obviously follow me on LinkedIn or on Facebook. But the best way to reach me is my cell phone, and you can text me or call me. My cell phone number is 330-581-5247, or you can email me at donbrady@shipyourcarnow.com. And that email address, that donbrady@shipyourcarnow.com, actually not only goes to me, it goes to my team. So if I'm on the road and I can't get to it, someone on my team is going to jump on it and help. So, I mean, I can't do what I do if I didn't have an awesome team behind me. And I truly do. Like they're the best of the best that are behind me and supporting me and supporting my customers. So I wouldn't be able to be out here bragging about what we do if at the end of the day, the service didn't reflect on what I'm saying, and it truly does. So,
well, Don, you're a true professional. I've enjoyed working with you. I'm looking forward to future opportunities to work with you. And you heard it here first, right? Ship Your Car Now. Technology first. Transportation and technology is Ship Your Car Now.
Yeah. Thanks, Albert.
Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.